All right, welcome back, everyone. You're looking live at Generation to Generation Cowboys and Sports Talks. I'm the host, DJ. I tell you what, and we're back with another episode. We're gonna do live today, Saturday Night Live. We're gonna talk about some draft things and talk about the Schottenheimer news that dropped yesterday, the Eberflus news that dropped, and we're gonna kind of go into it. So I'm gonna let the intro roll, and then we'll be back with it. Generation to Generation Cowboys and Sports Talk. My dad, my partner, my co-host, Cowboy Joe 64.
I am your father.
Just to get the Cowboys two good games to hopefully understand that they need to go receiver and go high with this next pick.
Yeah, yeah, that's really what this is gonna be about. All right. So you want to say what's up to the people?
Hey, what's up to the people?
All
Hey,
right.
send me
So
the link. The link.
all right. So yeah, we got the Schottenheimer news and Matt Eberflus news, and we kind of had a night to digest what's going on. So, what are your thoughts? And as far as Um, do you think Schottenheimer is going to have, you know, a good effect on the offense? And do you think that, because what I'm looking at too is how is Schottenheimer gonna, does it make them more likely to draft Genty? Is what I'm thinking. And because he's supposed to be like a run first offensive coordinator. His dad was a run first guy. I think he's a run first guy. They were saying that, McCarthy um, was kind of getting away from what Shoddy wanted to do as far as running the ball. So I'm thinking that maybe with Schottenheimer being the coordinator and well, not the coordinator but the head coach, maybe this will make the Joneses, or this will put some pressure on them to actually get him some weapons to succeed. I mean, it's like last year we know they kind of left McCarthy out there to dry, so to speak. They really didn't help McCarthy out with anything in free agency, and so I'm wondering, they kind of left McCarthy out there to dry. They kind of told him that, hey, you got what you got, make the best out of it. And I know that they're not going to start Schottenheimer off with a 4-year deal and say, hey, you got what you got, make the best out of it. So I mean, to me, this kind of, I'm thinking that they might, this might persuade them to actually draft playmakers, and also, Jerry doesn't. He should understand that the fans are not excited about this, and so with the fans not being excited about it, wouldn't that make him and make them try to please the fans by actually drafting playmakers and try to get the fan base back on track?
I mean, yeah. So, um, I think hopefully what they'll do is they'll target um, skill players with our first two picks. Genty. A lot of people are saying they would take him. Some people are saying we can go with the running back in the second or third round. But you know, uh, I do think that um, the front office, Jerry, Steven, they know this coaching selection is going to be heavily criticized. So what they typically do, they'll just you know kind of lean toward whatever the coach wants. So in this case, they got a brand new coach, so they're probably going to go with skilled players in the first two rounds just to kind of get him off to a good start. I can't imagine that they're going this draft and draft an edge or a linebacker with the first couple of picks. I mean, of course, they can do anything, but I do believe with the selection that they made, they probably will go toward the skilled players because that's what he's going to need. They got to say to themselves, if we want him to have a good first year, you're not going to be able to do it with the running backs and the receivers that we had. I still think we need a number two or a 1A tight end. So I think they will tip the cap to him and go in that direction. How about you?
Yeah, I think they will. And the tight end from Penn State, if he's there, because I think it's a real possibility too. I mean, I can see it going both ways. I can see that. I can see us getting to our pick, number 12, and none of the top receivers being there. I could see Genty gone. Um, you got Ben Johnson drafting ahead of you. So Ben Johnson last year they took Jameer Gibbs pretty high. And they took Jameer Gibbs high when everyone thought that they wouldn't. Everybody says that you shouldn't draft a running back or a linebacker high because those are the positions that they get hurt the easiest, get hurt the most. And they also, it's always you never want to give those kind of big contracts out to a running back or a linebacker because they get hurt pretty easily. But the Lions did that last year. They drafted Jameer Gibbs, and then they drafted right after that they drafted Jack Campbell, I believe. So you got Ben Johnson. We know he's going to be an aggressive drafter. He's going to get straight playmakers, and he pick in front of us. So, and then you got the 49ers. They get straight playmakers. They're going to draft in front of us. I wouldn't be surprised if they pick the players that we want. You got Debo over there. You got Brandon Ayuk, who just came off an injury. Something tells me that they're going to, and you got Christian McCaffrey. He's always hurt. Something tells me that they're going to draft Genty or a receiver. I just feel like that's what they're gonna do. I feel like Chicago gonna do the same. I feel like Chicago gonna draft a receiver. Well, they need to draft a line, but it wouldn't surprise me if they draft a running. If they draft Genty, that wouldn't surprise me. If they draft Igbuka, that wouldn't surprise me. So I think you have a situation to where you could easily end up picking at number 12 or 13, wherever we pick. Igbuka's not there. Tet's not there. Um, Genty's not there, and Luther is not there. And in that case, right there, you're going to be looking at from this team. You're going to be looking at one of the defensive tackles from Michigan, which I'm all for that. Either one of them, and then you're going to be looking for the fans not going to like that. The fans won't probably lose it if they pick. I think it's Mason Graham and Grant from Michigan. Fans gonna lose their mind. Another tackle from Michigan. People not gonna like that, but these tackles are different. These tackles are the best tackles in the draft, and that's what we need on our defense. So I'm going with one of them. Then you're gonna have the offensive tackle from Texas who will play guard on our team. Fans not gonna like that. And then you would have the Penn State tight end. Now that's in my opinion. What I would do is I would go defensive tackle from Michigan or the Penn State tight end. And then you're looking at running back and Savion Williams in the second round. But my philosophy always is too that I'm using the whole thing to build my team. I'm not just using the draft. So I don't have to. Now, running back is a position that there's not a lot of free agent running backs. The best free agent running back that's going to be available next year is Aaron Jones. So unless you feel like trading for a running back, which is really not a good thing in this NFL, you really got to get running back in the draft. Now, receiver, you don't have to get receiver with your first or second round, with your first pick or your second round pick. And if I was running the Cowboys, because I would trade for a receiver. You got a lot of receivers right now that's not happy, and a lot of receivers that's not gonna get big contracts. Just simply because the team can't afford it, and then some of them, it's just these receivers are not happy. Tyreek Hill say he want out bad, and he doubled down on it today. I would trade for him. Um, you got T Higgins is probably not gonna get. Is it T Higgins that's not gonna get done by the Bengals, or is it Jamal, who is it's some other receivers out there that's just not happy. Then you got homeboy and with the Steelers that's acting up every game. He walking off the field. Players like that, I be trying to get on my team. So and they are starters that can come in, start day one, and I wouldn't have to worry about the draft. I would still try to get Savion Williams in the third round or something like that. But if I don't get him, I wouldn't be too upset because I know I got, like I said, I would be trying to work on Tyreek Hill today. That's what I would be trying to do with a second round pick. That's what I would be trying to do.
So I think the next threshold for the Cowboys with this new coaching hire, it's going to be we're curious to see if that they make any changes with the way they approach free agency. They just got to draft better. That's basically what that comes down to. So are they going to look at doing some of the kind of trades you're talking about. I think the frustration with all the Cowboy fans is that we see Stephen Jones year over year. Uh, he just doesn't want to do free agency. He's doing this thing with the cap. So Jerry needs to just really start throwing his weight around a little bit more. We're hearing that Jerry wanted to go big on his coaching hire, and this was Steven and Jerry Jr. wanted Schottenheimer. So it just seems like here lately that a lot of the things that really uh, could help the franchise, Jerry is being talked off the ledge. So I believe if Jerry had his way, we would do some free agency. We probably would do some trades like you spoke of. So we're going to start getting some clues. Is Jerry trying to strike back? Because it's kind of like a hostage thing. It's like, hey, I'm gonna do what I want to do. The next move is yours. So if Steven got the coach he wanted, maybe the compromise is going to be that Jerry is going to be able to go out and do some trades and do some free agency. So we'll just kind of see, how that plays out. It's gonna come down pretty quick. It's not going to be a lot of time because I think free agency starts March and like the beginning of March. So it's not that far away. So
And
just today, what were you hearing about Schottenheimer? Did you get a chance to do a little bit more research on what you think it's going to look like? Because I think the offense is going to the foundation is going to be the same. He's just going to add his flavor to it, right?
yeah, I did. So what they were saying, and then before I say this, I want to say this to people too. Everybody keep talking about this is going to be Jerry last hire and all this. I don't know where they're getting that narrative from. Jerry is not 105 years old. He's one of the wealthiest people in the world. He's not gonna just all of a sudden just croak tomorrow. He gonna still be running the Cowboys 10 years from now. I don't understand. Even though he gonna be 95, he's still gonna be doing his thing. This man is not gonna go nowhere. Schottenheimer got a 4-year contract. When Schottenheimer deal is up in 4 years, Jerry gonna be making the next hire. He is not ailing. It's 6:58. He's probably in New York right now in a meeting. Nothing's happening. This is not his last hurrah. None of that. He gonna be on the next hiring cycle. It's probably gonna be a couple more. What we're seeing right now is just more of Steven taking over. Just like when you have a family business, when the father of the business gets older, the son and the children take over the business, and that's just what happens in most businesses, and that's what's happening now. What we want to see is we want old Jerry, we want Jerry and his characteristics to have a say so and have a hand in building the organization because that was successful back in the day. But what we're seeing is that these are just Steven's characteristics and they're not Jerry's characteristics. So it's almost just like, well, if you got Walmart and the original Walmart, the original guys that ran it, they did it this way, but their kids came in and they said, we don't want this pharmacy, we don't want these, we don't want this brand in our stores, and then they just remove it. There is no okay, well, my dad, I'm gonna bring this pharmacy back, and we're gonna put it doesn't work that way. So we just have to hope that Steven is just can just be smart and see and open up his eyes and just see what's going on and see how he's not doing a good job. But with Schottenheimer, yeah. So apparently the statistics that we put up for Schottenheimer, that wasn't all that wasn't all there was to it. And then also
And
on the
how is
statistic,
that? Explain that.
because on the statistics that we put up, it was just like some of those statistics, they didn't tell the whole truth, because it was just like, for instance, it was just like, oh, they didn't let Russ cook, or oh, they had Mark Sanchez, on the ones where they weren't specific, they were like Mark Sanchez was one of the worst, they had one of the worst offense. That wasn't true. They had one of the best running offenses in the league. They had like number one. Really, they had Thomas Jones had the best years of his career during those years because of Schottenheimer. And then also with Russell Wilson, they on that thing we posted, it said didn't let Russ cook. That was all it said. Well, it didn't tell you that it didn't let Russ cook, but they had the top three. They had one of the top three offenses all 3 years. It didn't say that. So, you know, it just they just didn't. It just said didn't let Russ cook, which I mean, whatever. They still were the top one of the top three offenses, and so um same thing, So Schottenheimer, from what I'm hearing, what I'm getting my research on is he's a run first offensive coordinator, um, in which we know the Cowboys definitely need to lean on running the ball. We seen that a lot this year. McCarthy, for some reason, he didn't want to use Rico at the beginning of the year, and then all of a sudden Rico became 1,000 yard back, and when he became 1,000 yard back, we all of a sudden saw reeling off some wins. So I mean, you can take that for what it's worth, but Schottenheimer, I think what I want everybody to be comfortable with and understand is that this is not just Schottenheimer running the team. This is Dak and the players and the offensive players coming together and running the team. This is going to be a Dak offense. He's going to be running it. This is going to be CD offense. They're going to be running it. They're the ones that's going to be running it. They're the ones that's going to be putting these game plans together. So it's really a big step for Dak. Most of the coordinators and most of the offenses in the league, your coordinators, they're the ones that says, okay, we're playing the Ravens. They run a multiple defensive scheme. Their corners are weak, and so we need to pass the ball a lot. We need to run the ball in certain situations. The coordinators are the ones usually doing that. That's what Schottenheimer did this past year. What's going to happen now is Dak and Schottenheimer and a couple more people are going to be doing that together. They're going to be saying, okay, this is the team that we're facing. This is what needs to happen. These are the type of plays that we need to run. This is how we attack. So this is going to be, you're going to see if Dak can really, if he really has it up here. Because if this was Tony Romo, we wouldn't have anything to worry about, because Tony Romo had got to a point in his career where he had figured out defenses. He had figured out each defensive scheme and what to do to beat them.
So Dak is kind of there right now, right?
I think so. Yeah, I do. But see, Dak is there right now. But just how like Steven and Jerry and Will McClay left McCarthy out to dry last year, they left Dak out to dry too. And they also left CD out to dry. When you do things like, and that's why I keep saying that, to me, it's really all about, it is about coaching, because we can point to certain things that happened during the game and we can say that was a coaching error. Like Matt Eberflus lost that game in Chicago. That was a coaching error. He should have called a timeout. That we can point to that and say he's a coaching error. He got fired that next day for that. We can point to certain things and say that's a coaching error. Last year against Detroit, not last year, the year before last against Detroit, when we had to, we could have iced the game by running it 3 times. Instead, McCarthy passed it 3 times, threw it to Dak. Told Dak to throw it to CD no matter what, and Dak threw it, and we put left time on the clock. Those are coaching issues that we can point to, but at the same time, it's also things that it's not the coach fault and it's not the player's fault that these things are happening. Like when a general manager messes up, like for instance, the last year they didn't utilize free agency. They didn't get a good running back. So that hulls Dak out. They didn't get a good second wide receiver. So that hulls CD out. All the attention is on CD. All the attention is on Dak because there is no running back. We wasn't using them, and we really didn't get the one that we should have gotten. And also, it's just like that messed Dak up, that messed McCarthy up. And also, when you draft players like Tyler Guyton, who was a right tackle in college, and then you start him at left tackle, and then you draft Cooper Beebe, who was a guard in college at Kansas, and then you play him at center. So you're taking 2 rookie linemen and you putting them in spots on the team where they have never played before, and if they played there, they didn't play there full time, and you're asking them to do it on the NFL level for the Dallas Cowboys, their rookie year. This is Dak's blind side. Okay, he doesn't have a running back. Okay, he doesn't have a good receiver crop. He's got CD. and you expect Dak to be able to read defenses and expect Dak to be able to do what with that setup. So it's just like I don't have no problem with the offense and Schottenheimer calling plays. I don't have a problem with that because I don't want to say it's easy to do, but it's being done everywhere. This is not people can talk crap about Kellen Moore all they want to. But the bottom line is their GM went out and got them a running back to where it doesn't matter what Kellen does. All they have to do is hand the ball off. That's really it. They're in they have one of the worst passing teams in the league. We know that.
Yeah.
We can see that. But they're still winning because their GM went out and made a move that allows them to have that mess up. Look at Cliff Kingsbury. We all know what Cliff Kingsbury what his thing is. He does good he does good for about 8 games and then his team's plateau. Well, they have a GM that they drafted a quarterback that's mobile that can make plays happen. They got good receivers. They utilize free agency. They got people like Noah Brown and out here, and they have a good. They got Dallas Cowboy offensive line pieces. You know,
Mm-hmm.
players that we didn't want, but they starting right now, and they going to the championship. It's because it ain't just about um Cliff Kingsbury. What you know what's happening is the GM helped Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury helped the players because everybody's working in conjunction with the same on the same page, and you can just look around the NFL, and this is what's going on. But with us, it's just like the owners are working against the coaches, and the coaches are working against the players, and the coaches are working against the owners because it's just like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
McCarthy.
So,
You know, like I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna let you talk. It's just like McCarthy. We actually have a team to where we're like McCarthy is just like, all right, y'all gonna bring Zeke in here? Okay, well, I'm gonna play him. I'm gonna hurt the team and play him for 8 games and show y'all why that was stupid. Y'all gonna trade Mingo and y'all gonna trade for Mingo and y'all gonna trade for Trey Lance? Okay, well, Trey Lance is not gonna see the field, even though he should. He not gonna see the field because I didn't clear him. Mingo, y'all trading for Mingo without my permission? Okay, well, here. So it's just like McCarthy's playing against the owners and the owners playing against McCarthy, and it's just dysfunction.
it's so funny that you you said conjunction, um, which is the old schoolhouse rock cartoon, the legendary conjunction junction. What's your function? So that's kind of like what's happening with the Cowboys. So that you got all of those different cars of the train doing their own thing, not really going in unison. So look, I don't know if Brian Schottenheimer is going to be able to fix that, but what I've been telling you and your uncle Eric since we've had this argument going back and forth about the Cowboys issue, the chicken or the egg theory. I said every now and then, what you got to do as a GM and an owner, you got to look up and just hire that coach that can come in, and it's just their time. They just have that magic. We saw that with McVay. We saw it with LaFleur. We've seen it with Ben Johnson. Nobody knew who Ben Johnson was. So hopefully, Schottenheimer has been someone that's been true to the game. He loves football. Um, he's been around it his whole life. He's seen everything. So hopefully, he's just waited his time, and this is his time, the right time to come in and just put his mark on the team. We know that last year he wanted to do some things offensively, and he and McCarthy were butting heads, and I think that Dak wanted to do some things. So it seems like Dak and Schottenheimer, they had the rapport that Dak and McCarthy didn't have. Dak really liked McCarthy, but still McCarthy, just had a firm hand on what they were doing. So hopefully Schottenheimer has some really good ideas that he and Dak can collaborate. That's what you were talking about earlier. The players having an input on the offense, that collaboration. So I think that's kind of like the one hope that we have, that Jerry just lucked up into something that might work. Um, and I was going to ask you, I got some conflicting reports yesterday and today. There's some people that are saying that they really didn't offer the job to Kellen. They interviewed him. They just decided they were not going in that direction. They got over to Schottenheimer. Then some people are saying, and I haven't heard it a lot. Some people are saying Kellen decided that he didn't want the job. So it's kind of we're gonna probably get the final word on who's right on that. We still got Jane Slater today saying that the defensive coordinator is not finalized. Some people saying it is. So what are you hearing about the defensive coordinator?
Yeah. So what I'm hearing about the defensive coordinator is that is all the way done. I don't know. The only person that's not saying it, that's saying it's not done is Jane. And then on top of, and then to backtrack of what you said a minute ago, um, it is it's like big time show is saying it's just straight up chaos. You know what I'm saying? It's just chaos. It is structured chaos. So like what I was saying was back to like Schottenheimer, Eberflus, that's fine. I mean, like me. I'm just a regular guy like you. We just regular fans. We just regular
Content
YouTube.
creators.
We just regular content creators. But if you draft a good team right now, if we have a good draft right now, and we got the players that we have right now, and we keep who we should keep, who it makes sense to keep, and we trade for free agents right now, we could go out there and coach them to 10 wins by calling plays. We could do it. We would know how to use Micah. We would know how to use our cornerbacks. We would know how to use the defense. We would know how to stop the run. We would know how to get CD open. We would let Dak and CD and rest of them, and we would let them do what they do. So it's just like a coach is not going to come in and just totally plummet your team or just like totally change the trajectory of your team by himself. It's going to have to come from the top all the way down. Everything has to be done in conjunction, like you said. Everything has to be done in unison. It has to be from the top to the bottom. Uh, um we can't need a second receiver and a running back, and then you go draft an edge and an offensive tackle that don't start next year. That's how that's what don't does not need to happen, and that's what's been happening. Like you said the other day, we need a running back. That's obvious. That's obvious that we need a running back. So it's no reason for you to get to the fourth round and say, well, we just couldn't get our guy. It's no reason
Well,
for you to say that.
and that's where the new coach will come in. I gotta believe that when we get to that draft, he's gonna be saying to the owner and the GM, you guys hired me to come in and do a good job. If you want to see me get off to a good start, we got to get skill players. I mean, it has to be the way that he's thinking. And then, Will McClay, he just got to put a better board together. We're going to start talking about the draft going forward, but we just got to look at the drafts and just say that the last couple of drafts we've had, they're just not taking jump off the screen players. The Eagles are. If you put the Eagles' last two drafts side by side with our drafts, it's pretty stunning when you look at the players. We could have had Nolan Smith. He was right there for the taking, but we took Schoon. And I want you to pull up the draft. So the last two drafts that we had in the Eagles draft, and if you can't get it up, we can do it on our next show. But I think we want the people to see what our last couple of drafts have looked like. And Jeff Kavanaugh, shout out to Jeff. He said the bottom line is with our team, what's happening right now, our last two drafts are really hurting us. And but the Eagles just got better bang for their buck out of the drafts. And that's not just the Eagles. So what we got to do is in this draft, we can't miss. I feel like they're gonna recover their fourth round pick. What they're probably gonna do they're going to either trade down in the first round or they're going to trade down in the second round to pick up a pick here. And then you and I can do a mock draft simulate later before we close out. But they're probably going to figure out a way to try to get an extra pick. But when they pick, they just got to hit. I'm completely fine with taking Genty. It sounds like you were not originally wanting to take Genty. I think you're back on taking Genty if he's there.
Yeah. At first, I was like, nah, we don't need to take a running back that high. And I just don't think that when these running backs come in the league, they jump off the screen, but they jump off the screen and then it just doesn't translate like that in the NFL. Like, if you would have told me that Bijan and Jameer Gibbs, I was telling everybody that Jameer Gibbs is going to be just as good as Bijan.
Bijan
And
was on the wrong team.
right. Well, my thing exactly. But that's kind of my point. It's kind of like the success of the running back is not necessarily tailored to how good they are. Because if you're just good, you're just good. It's just like Bijan was better than Jameer Gibbs, but Jameer Gibbs is good. And if Bijan is on a worse team, then when Jameer Gibbs comes in the league,
Now,
he's gonna have a better season or
so
whatever.
so give me your evaluation of Genty, just the player, his style. So if you had to pick someone in NFL that he reminds you of, so who do you compare him to, or is he just kind of his own thing? How fast
Um,
is he?
He's fast. He has football speed. It's not like blazing speed like Luther, but it's just like he
And
got football speed.
Bijan don't have blazing speed.
Nah, Jameer Gibbs does.
Yeah, he does.
Right. So to me, I don't. I mean, I was thinking of somebody the other day, but to me, he reminds me. I don't want to say Emmett, but it's like his balance is like really what his thing is. His thing is like balance. That's his thing. It's like it's very, 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 very hard to get
Now,
him down.
now is he someone that runs hard, that's taking on tacklers like Zeke, or is he someone? Emmett was the master of avoiding hits.
No, he not no master of avoiding his. He gonna run you over. He gonna try to run you over. He gonna seek to run you over, and then he is gonna run you over. And
That
then
that
when
would
he
be
run,
my concern if we drafted him, because
oh,
in
he
the
definitely.
NFL, you do that, you'll be a 3 or 4 year back.
Well, that's what he is. And then he also
Now, that's not Jameer Gibbs.
no, and he cuts, and he cuts, but he's a great back. I mean, he's the best back
Hey,
but I don't know if he's as good as Bijan was. He's right up in there. You know what I mean? But I just feel like
I saw
I,
I saw a pretty amazing stat the other day. Uh, 105.3 The Fan, and I forget which show it was. So they talked about Zeke, they talked about Henry, they talked about the running back. He's with the Texans now. He went to OU. I'm losing my train of thought. He
DeMarco
played
Murray,
he played for the Bengals.
Joe
The
Mixon.
Mixon. It was a couple of other backs. So all of these backs, they were all taken around the same time. So Zeke was 2016. A couple of other backs were 2017, 2018. The thing that was amazing about it, they had about 6 of these backs. They all well-known names. I just named a few, but they're all still playing, and they're like playing great. The only person in that group of backs that's not playing well is Zeke.
And let me tell you why. Because we go over this all the time. Me and Kevin do this every day, all the time, because he likes to compare. He likes to big Derrick Henry, and I like to big Zeke. But the thing about it is their careers right now their career is like separated by like a couple thousand yards, and that's a lot. But it's really like by one season. Like over, but before this year, their careers at the end, their averages was about the same. But what happened was when Zeke was drafted, he was the bell cow. And then what they don't tell you on that stat is what you're missing on that stat, and why it seems amazing, but it's really not. It's really just a bland stat. What they're missing in that stat is how many carries each of them backs had when they first came in the league. Zeke tripled all of them. When
Hmm.
when Derrick Henry came into the league, he didn't even start his first year. He was splitting carries with somebody else. He didn't start starting until like his third or fourth year in the league. And then so when you look at Zeke's career, when Zeke got a rushing championship his first year, Derrick Henry only had like 400 yards that year. And the same with the rest of them. When you look at the rest of them, they came into the league. They didn't start their first few years in the league, and they wasn't really on good teams. They wasn't really on teams that ran the ball like that. So that's what you're missing. But see, Zeke career and Derrick Henry career went like this. Zeke started up here and he went downhill. Like he got 2,000 yards, 1,800, 1,600, 1,500, and it just plateaued to now he's at like 300 yards. Derrick Henry did the opposite. He went from 300 yards at the beginning of his career to the next year he got 400. The next year he got 900. The next year he got 1,100. So, you know, that's what that is that's unique to the Cowboys. The Cowboys ran Zeke into the ground. That's what they did instead of
Mm-hmm.
instead of balancing it out like all the rest of the teams did. So, those players that you name, how many of them have rushing titles?
None of them, I believe.
Exactly, but Zeke do. You know what I'm saying? And he had it at the very beginning of his career. So,
What I didn't
yeah,
like on that show, uh, who was it? It might have been Mike Bassick. It was Mike Bassick. Basket, whatever, how you pronounce it.
that basic.
He was trying to insinuate that Zeke didn't have a long career because he was out clubbing and partying and didn't take care of his body. And
People
that
like to do
and
that.
yeah, and the bottom line is we never heard that at all
No, no,
about Zeke. Hey, I
they
want to
it's
shout
just
out
not true.
Keystone Cowboy. He's one of the OGs, content creators. So
Yeah,
appreciate Keystone logging into our show. Appreciate it. He's one of the guys that I'm very tight knit with on Twitter. So shout out to Keystone, one of the OGs.
shout out
Appreciate
to
you
Keystone.
tapping in. But yeah, that it was just stunning to see that list. And then so Keystone is saying that Genty didn't really face any real defenses other than Penn State.
Yeah, and
So
that's and that's and
I,
that's and that's a good thing. That's a good
and
point to put.
ironically, I didn't watch the Penn State game, but he ended up with 100 yards. But I did hear that he was just getting, he was getting hit, so he had to fight for every
Mhm.
yard. So, you
Yeah, so
know,
look, yeah, so I mean that's what I was saying a minute ago with the
what you
you
looking
know
at right there?
this is Zeke yardage. This is Zeke rushing yards when he came into the league. And you see with the stars. I don't know what the stars mean, but let's
Mm,
see. Led the league is what that means. So, let's check it out. So 16, he came in, he averaged 108 a game, 98 a game the next year, 95 a game the next year. You see, you see his stats. I think this is the one where he missed, he got suspended. So
mm-hmm.
16, 983, 14, 1357,
A lot of
9
carries, the
a
attempts.
lot of carries. Look at these
Um,
carries and look at these attempts and look how it just goes down.
I would love
For
to see that same stat on Henry, Joe Mixon.
I'm
It
finna
was a,
pull it
it
up.
was another back. I want to go back to before you say that. I'm absolutely convinced. So that 2016 team, I think that was our best chance we had to make a Super Bowl. A lot of people like the '07 team. The '07 team, the people don't talk about the fact that T.O. was hurt in that game when we lost to the Giants. If T.O. was healthy in that game, we don't lose that game.
Okay, now
But
look at
what I was
look,
going to tell you before I forget, that second year when he got suspended, that year right there, I believe we would have battled back and made it probably to the NFC Championship game. That year also impacted Dak and Dez, and the commissioner he took Zeke out of the league basically for 2 or 3 games for a suspension that nobody could really define, and that was just the craziest thing ever when Zeke got suspended that year, and that really messed up our season, and it really cost Dez his career because Dez didn't play that well because our offense was without Zeke, it really impacted the whole team, and that just messed up a lot of different things, really careers. And what were you going to show us?
um yeah, it did. I mean, these type of things happen to the Cowboys. You would think that as much power as Jerry has, that these things wouldn't happen, but these things constantly happen to us. Our players get treated like that. Also,
Yeah.
I don't care what nobody say. The refs be playing against us. We be blatant holds on our
Yeah.
players. We're not crying wolf. This is
Well,
actually happening.
you're
You know
going
what
to
I
see
mean?
that tomorrow. If you are a Commander, if you are a Buffalo Bill, you're not getting out of Arrowhead, and you're not getting out of the link winning that game Um, if you don't
It's
play just a
several.
perfect game because of officials, they're gonna try to take the game from you.
It's several games where I can point to right now top of my head that we lost because of a penalty that was not correct, and they're like the Green Bay game when it was a catch. Like
Mm,
it's several things that happened that I can point to. I'll be like, oh, we lost that game because of that
yeah,
penalty. It's just like
yeah,
it's so many games where it's just
yeah,
like it ends with like a blatant pass interference, or it's so many games where it's just like how did they miss that?
yeah,
Like you know
yeah.
the
Go
Detroit
ahead.
game the Detroit game, they literally was finna give them the game when they called clipping on us when it was blatantly on the other team. They
It
messed
was on
that up.
Hutchinson. Yeah,
It was on Hutchinson, and he did that, and they penalized for that. If they wouldn't have gave us that penalty, that was a 15-yard penalty, and it stopped the clock. If
yeah. The
they
game
didn't
would have
give
been
us that
over.
penalty, the game would have been over. But we almost lost because of the refs. But see, this is what I'm saying about Derrick Henry. Now we just seen Zeke, and we seen how Zeke was a leading champion, was a rushing champion in 2016, and how he had all them carries, 300, almost 400 carries. This is Derrick Henry at the beginning of his career. Look at his career. He had 490 yards his first year and 5 touchdowns, 700, 176 attempts, 5 touchdowns second year, third year, 215. And this is his first time cracking 1,000. So it's just like, so this is how his career went. And then you kind of compare it to Zeke at the end, their numbers almost look alike at the end. Derrick Henry separates by a couple thousand because of these
Mm.
bottom years that he's having. But you
Now,
know,
it was a couple of other backs, and their name escapes me. I know one was Joe Mixon, but it was two or three other backs that got drafted around that time, and they're all playing well. And Zeke is. Can you pull up Joe Mixon?
yeah, I pull up Joe Mixon.
But it's really interesting. So we call our show Generation to Generation Cowboys and Sports Talk. You're uh, fourth generation Cowboy fan. I'm third generation. So I grew up with Dorsett, and Dorsett was furious with Tom Landry because Tom Landry took the approach that he wasn't going to give Dorsett a lot of carries to extend his career. And, it did help back in those days. It was a lot more physical than it is in these days. But yeah, Tom Landry purposely reduced Dorsett's carries. And matter of fact, a couple of them Super Bowls they lost, like the one like Super Bowl 13, Dorsett didn't get a lot of carries in that game. That was a mistake on Landry's part. But yeah, this is Mixon.
This is Mixon. He don't crack at that. He don't crack 300 carries in his career.
Yeah.
So no wonder he's still playing good. Yeah, because he never cracked. He wasn't the bell cow for that
Now,
team.
okay. So since we're talking about this, okay. So my argument for drafting Genty would be that I'm going to bring him in, but I'm also not going to run him into the ground. You've got Rico, and I would argue you really need another back. So one of the things I'm going to talk about on our show, I think we need two backs. You're going to need Genty and another back to go with Rico because of what we're looking at right here. And then, so if you don't take Genty in the first round, you take the running back from Carolina in the second round. Whatever we
Marion
do,
Hampton.
you take Hampton. So we need a couple of backs, and we also need two receivers. I've been telling people that I kind of hang out with on Twitter, we don't have our second and third receiver on our team. We just
We
don't.
don't.
Um, Now I saw
Mm-mm.
something interesting today that said that Brian Schottenheimer and Brandon Cooks are pretty close. Um, Now some of my friends on Twitter, they hate the idea of Brandon Cooks coming back. Some like the idea. So if he's healthy, but my thing would be I'm drafting a receiver and I'm also signing a veteran. Now if it's not Brandon Cooks, I'm going to try to get Diggs. I'm gonna try to get Juju Smith-Schuster if he's free. That's the kind of receiver that we need as our third receiver. So I'm calling it second and third, but our second receiver or third receiver is going to be who we draft. So if we end up drafting Ibuka, if we get Savion Williams, a lot of people are liking Trey Harris. Have you watched Trey Harris from Ole Miss? Do
Mm-hmm.
you like him?
Yeah.
Who do you remind you of in NFL?
I have to look at him again, but he's one of those. He's a big back. He kind of slow. He just he remind me of Zach Charbonnet. He kind of like big. He kind of just
Oh,
like.
he's a receiver.
I mean, who we talking about?
Trey Harris,
From
receiver
for
from
who?
Ole Miss.
Let me look him up.
It sounds like you haven't watched him. Now, have you watched
Uh-uh.
Savion Williams, TCU?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now
So,
Savion, I don't know who he remind me of, but my only thing with Savion is that he's super tall and he's super athletic. So I just see, to me, he got the hurt body. It's just like I could see him getting hurt because he's so big and he's so tall and he's so dynamic. But I
well,
also
he
want to
he
know.
he he would basically be your ex, but he can also get coming out of the backfield a lot.
I want to
Uh,
know why he's not just high up on the boards like everybody else is.
he's not high up on the board because he goes to TCU and he hasn't played the position long. So he's going to be kind of more like you're going to really need a good receivers coach with him, but he has a really high ceiling. But he's definitely someone. He's a typical third round pick, somebody that can come in and do great things. All of them guys, when you watch Trey Harris, you're gonna see the same thing. So he's kind of the traditional Ole Miss receiver. I think AJ Brown went to Ole Miss. Uh, and Mingo went there, of course. Uh, this Trey Harris.
Mm-hmm.
So he may just be kind of in that AJ Brown class. I think he's a bigger guy. Watching him, Mingo, his highlights kind of look the same way. The Ole Miss, they have these same kind of traditional, kind of big receivers. You know, uh, got a little swag.
I
Now,
mean,
did
I
AJ
don't, I don't, I don't, I don't,
did AJ
I
Brown
don't,
go to Ole Miss?
I don't know. I don't see nothing special about this guy. I don't
Well,
see nothing special about him.
you got to remember, you're looking at a third round receiver, so
Yeah.
that's what you're talking
Nah,
about.
AJ Brown went to Mississippi, University of Mississippi.
Oh, he went to Mississippi. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he's another. He's so. Would you at this point in the first round, if you just had to make your pick at 12, if Genti is there, you're taking him now. I'm seeing a lot of drafts here lately, or mock drafts here lately, where Genti is not there. So, if Genti is not there, a name that I think you need to have up on your board is the tight end from Penn State.
Yeah. So with the draft right here, they got us trade. They want to know if we will trade back with Houston and go to 25 and pick up 58.
I don't want to go that far back.
Uh, 32, 64, 66 for 12 and 150.
Nah.
And so
If
with
I
this,
trade back, I don't want to go anywhere past like 16 or 17. So
with
who we
this,
got here?
you got Mason Graham. That's who I'm picking right here. You got Mason Graham, and you got Luther Igbuka. You don't have.
So what we want to do right here? Let's do this to kind of make it a fun game.
All right, Hampton.
You're Brian Schottenheimer, and you have these are your picks. So if you're Brian Schottenheimer, who you gonna pick?
Luther Burton.
So let's put that spin on it. So Luther is how far down? He's at 15, and we're at 12.
Yep.
Okay, so you want to pick Luther?
Yep. But you got on.
Is Genti gone?
Yeah, Genti gone. So
This is
Genti
probably
went
this is-
to. Where did Genti go? Dang, Genti went to the Browns at number 2.
I don't think he's going there, but what we're seeing is Genti is probably going to be gone. So this may be realistic. So let's play this game. So Genti's gone. You're Schottenheimer. You're taking Burton.
Yeah. Well, I'm Schottenheimer. Well, are you saying that is like Schottenheimer as the offensive coordinator or Schottenheimer as like the head coach? Because he's the head coach. I would take Mason Graham.
No, these are if you're Schottenheimer, I'm thinking you're taking an offensive player.
Right, but see, he's the head coach, so you got a top 4 player, top 5 player sitting there in your lap, and this is a position.
let's do this for our little game. Let's take skill players offensively. Then we'll come back and we'll put a different hat on him. So let's
Okay, so
on
Luther
this one
Burton.
he's taking Burden.
Yep. Okay, and then in the second
So this is
round,
no trade down.
this is no trade down yet. They want you to trade down in the second round and pick up 54. Well, nah, I'm not. We don't want to do that.
I
And
think they're gonna
then,
trade down in the second round.
well, this would have been those two scenarios would have been picking up picks for next year.
Oh yeah, we don't want that.
Right. So again, this is offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer, skill position.
Yeah, he's the head coach, but he want players that's gonna help him this year.
So now you got to go. Let's see.
Hold
You
on one
got
second.
your
Okay,
yeah.
now where we at?
You got what we just took Luther Burton, and so now I'm going Travion Henderson.
Oh man. So you got Travion Henderson. Who's right above him?
Quinshawn Judkins, the
Now
other
what?
running back for Ohio
Let's stop
State.
right here. Who? Now Travion Henderson. He's not as fast as your guy from Detroit, but he's fast.
Yeah,
Judkins kind of remind me. Now this wasn't the player I was telling you remind me of DeMarco Murray, but he does remind me of DeMarco Murray.
right. And between
So
them two, I'm taking Travion.
okay, so go ahead and take Travion. So now you loading up your skill players.
Yeah.
Now, what the
Now
Cowboys do? Oh, they
this
want
is the
another trade there.
they want you to pick. They want you to trade back to number 83 and pick up number 122.
So that's a 4th round pick.
Yeah, I probably would.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
and
a third round pick. 369. Yeah, 12. That's a fourth round pick. I would probably do this.
they will too. That's what they're gonna do because they need to they need an extra pick.
Okay. And then on
Okay,
this one, they want you to pick up. They want you to pick up pick 85 and 209. I probably would do this too.
you going two spots down?
Yeah,
Okay,
and you pick up another pick 209. So
okay.
I would accept that, and then I'm gonna reject the rest. So now I'm looking at the board, and let me go back up to all. So now, see, you got
So
Tez Johnson right there.
so remind me who we drafted. I done lost my train of thought already.
We got Luther, and we got Travion Henderson.
Okay, so now I'm looking at a linebacker or a tight end. Let's just look at the board. So who we got?
You got Tez Johnson, the wide receiver. Even though we already got him, we got Alfred Collins, the defensive tackle from Texas. You got Ashton Gillety from Louisville. Josiah Stewart. You got Gunnar Helm out there. I don't know him. You got Jalen Reed from Penn State. Shamar Turner,
So who's at the very top up there?
Jackson Dart,
That's a
Ole Miss
quarterback.
quarterback. Yeah, Tez Johnson. You got Azariah Thomas, the cornerback from Florida State. Okay, let's look at the draft. Let's look at the we can do this. Let's look at the board here and see who we see that's on here that was on there.
But we're in the 3rd round.
Yeah. So, but remember, we ain't got to go all the way down because some of these players like Shamar Turner, he's right there. You know, Shamar Turner is and wasn't he on here? From A&M? Yeah. He number 94 right here.
Where does he play?
Defensive tackle. And he's right here. He's a defensive lineman. Remember this guy? We looked at him before. Because remember, it kept saying that we would end up picking him. Remember?
Yeah.
This guy. So, I mean, we've looked at him before, and it was kind of, we picked him a couple times.
Okay.
So,
you can go ahead and pick
but
him.
it's some more people on here, though. You know, it's some more people like Alfred Collins that's above him. And I think that, I don't know, Azariah Thomas, he's number 58. Alfred Collins is number 54. So we wouldn't pick him. Alfred Collins is the better defensive lineman.
Okay, we'll go ahead and pick him.
You know what I'm saying?
And this is probably what Brian Schottenheimer as a head coach will probably do because you're probably going to lose your tackle for the Cowboys, Odigizua, So I don't know if they play the same position, but so you taking him?
Um, I'm trying to figure out if this cornerback is good from Florida State.
He's ranked
Um,
higher.
yeah, yeah, he ranked higher than he's ranked as Red Tommy. He's ranked 58. So I'll probably take Alfred Collins. Uh, the defense. I'm taking Alfred Collins or Azrael Thomas is the highest ranked person on the board. Alfred Collins is ranked. Now this is interesting because they're swapped in this draft right here. Azrael Thomas is 83 and Alfred Collins is 85. But on Tankathon, Azrael Thomas is 58 and Alfred Collins is 54. So they have them swapped on the thing. So you can go good with either one of them. You can get you a cornerback or you can get you a defensive tackle. I,
I
I'm,
think
I'm,
I'm
I'm
taking the tackle.
yeah, me too. So got the tackle, and everybody after this is pretty much people that we really don't know because unless it's somebody
And
right here.
122 is what round?
I
That's
think
the
that's
fourth
this
round.
is fourth round. Yeah. So and we didn't even look for Savion when we had a chance.
I was
Uh,
gonna ask you, was Savion gone? We picked our third pick, but if he was
yeah.
there, I would. Can you envision the Cowboys having Luther Burden and Savion coming out of this draft?
I mean, I would. I mean, me personally, nothing. It's like a cut. It's like a really in this draft. It's a player that It's a player that no matter what, I want him on my team, and his name is Savion Williams.
Yeah,
No matter what, I don't care if I pick Luther Burden first in the first round, and I have to get Savion in the third. I'm doing that.
and I just don't think Steven and Will McClay, they just ain't doing that
It's
kind of
it.
thing.
It's just like this right here. Me on my team, I would take Ollie Gordon right here, the Oklahoma State running back. Even though I already got a running back, I'm still taking him.
Where is he? Where is he ranked at right here? Now, who are your other options?
For a running back or just
Or
period.
just on the board? Are we getting ready to pick?
You got look, Scatterboo is right there. I'll take Scatterboo right now.
He's the highest rated player.
He's the highest rated player. I'll take him. I have two running backs that I got in the draft. I would take him. Scatterboo, I would take him.
So our first two picks were who?
Luther Burden and Travion Henderson. I'm taking Scatterboo.
Who are my other options?
Billy Bowman, I don't know who that is. Garrett Dillinger. Now that's an offensive guard. We need to look at that. Let's see where he ranked at. See, he not even ranked on this Tankathon. So yeah, like I said, these are players that you're not gonna see on Tankathon for the most part.
The reason I would take Scatterboo is because look, Rico. I don't know if he's somebody that you're gonna be just having long term. I don't know. I'm kind of like not sure, but
Well, so, and then also, well, if you take Scatterboo right here, and you already got Travion Henderson and Scatterboo, well, then that means that you don't have to bring Rico back.
that's a possibility because he's a free agent. Now, what we got to talk about realistically, the Cowboys may not even be able to get Rico back. Rico might get some career, some life changing money. So
Well, let me tell you something too. That happened this year too. See, everybody was going away from the running backs for these last, decade. The running backs been going away, it's been getting lower and lower. They had this big deal last year where the running backs was sitting out because they wasn't getting paid nothing, and they was upset, and they was doing all of this sitting out and protesting and everything, right? And then the running backs, everybody was just like, "Oh my God, we're not drafting a running back in the first round. It just ain't happening." You know what I'm saying? Like Bijan, he got drafted in the first round. It was like, oh my goodness. And then when Detroit did Jameer Gibbs, it was just like they are crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, all right. Now we see that Saquon it's going to be the MVP almost, probably should be. He's definitely should be offensive player of the
I
year.
think Saquon was one of the other backs that I was trying to get on my comparable to how Zeke's career. I think he was one of the other guys.
We can look at it. And then
Yeah.
also look at Saquon. He got his money. He went to the Eagles and he running them to the championship. The same thing with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry had an amazing year, ran them all the way to where he got them at. Now, what you finna see now is the paradigm is finna switch. When this offseason come, a lot of teams are gonna be trying to get running backs, and in the draft as well. A draft, somebody is gonna draft, uh, what's the name, high, and somebody gonna draft a lot of these running backs high. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if by the time we get to our second round pick, it's 3 or 4 more running backs that's gone, like Omarion Hampton, Travion Henderson, Quincy Judkins. I wouldn't be surprised if we get to our
Now,
second round pick and they gone.
I'm gonna tell you why I would take Scatterboo right here. Also, is because Travion Henderson does have some injury situations going on, injury history. So I would take
Mm-hmm.
Scatterboo. So this is our draft right here.
Yeah.
So you got Luther, Travion Henderson, Collins, and Scatterboo. Now we don't. Let's see. Yeah, I mean that would be a nice draft. Now I don't think the Cowboys would do this. So
No.
yeah.
But
So look.
if they did, this would be a B plus or a A minus draft.
Well, and you got players also. They jump off the screen. Players. Everybody that you're looking at right here on
They
Sundays, you're
ballers.
gonna see them playing. It's not gonna be. Yeah, it's not gonna be. They need a couple of years, or I can tell you right
Nah.
now what the Cowboys are going to do. They're gonna take an edge, and what's gonna happen is 4 or 5 games into the season, Sam Williams, Micah, Nealon is going to be getting all of the snaps, and the edge is going to be, and what they're going to be saying is, oh, he needs 2 or 3 years to develop. Then don't take him. The same
Right.
thing with tackles. If they take a offensive lineman, they're going to say the exact same thing because um, it's going to take them a while to develop. We've been there and done that, and Brock Hoffman. If we draft somebody to compete with him, he's not going to be better than Hoffman his first year. And now,
Mm-mm.
what will be intriguing is if you take a left tackle in the
Mm-hmm.
first round, he can be competitive. So, what's going to be interesting to see about Brian Schottenheimer is some of the players that are currently on our team. How is he going to feel about them? Is he going to be their sponsor? In other words, is he going to be okay with Guyton just kind of doing his thing over there, game to game, or because here's the thing about Brian Schottenheimer. I'm gonna keep talking about this until the season starts. A lot of people are not happy with this hire, so I cannot imagine that he's going to start the season and be fooling around with guys that ain't all in, guys that are not, producing. I don't think he's going to have the patience for guys that are just not playing top level football. So, we're going to
And
see
then
what.
this is kind of what I'm before the season starts. I'm gonna have a thesis. I'm gonna have this all figured out. But right now, this is going back to my point where Schottenheimer is more of going to be the CEO type of coach, but Dak is going to be like the lieutenant or the what's the yeah, like the lieutenant. Ain't that the person in the structure that gets stuff done? Like the captain is like the CEO, but the lieutenant is the one that do the one that you need somebody to get something done. He the one that do it, right? So
Mhm.
so like Tyler Guyton, he ain't got to worry about Schottenheimer. He gonna have to worry about Dak. Dak gonna be
Yeah.
the one that's gonna be telling him like, Dak gonna be the one that Tyler Guyton out there holding, Tyler Guyton out there getting that kill. We're gonna come back in the next game. Tyler Guyton gonna be on the sideline.
You
And
know who's
Tyler
going to be
Guyton,
talking to Tyler Guyton too?
who?
Micah.
Yeah, it's gonna be them. And that's what I mean when I say about like this is what this hire is about. This hire is kind of like about like these players are gonna be running this team.
I think Asim Richards is just better.
Yeah, and so Dak is gonna be the one that's telling Asim Richard, like, listen, bro, you're playing. I don't care what you say. I don't care about you wanting to play guard. You're playing tackle. That's what
Now,
you're doing.
now the other side of the argument, the sea change that we need is the front office, the politics, because Stephen and Will McClay, they have their own side of this, political stage that we have. And so, what we need to have happen with our team this year, and the Cowboys front office, they do this. They defer to the coach. If they need to just say, listen to Brian Schottenheimer and get the politics out of the team, and starting with the draft. Don't play politics with this draft and just do goofy stuff. Get some skilled players for Schottenheimer. You got some areas of the team that you need to fix, but stop doing stupid stuff with the draft. And then when the season starts, don't be trying to, shackle Brian Schottenheimer with goofy players, guys that can't really play, but you really want them to play because you drafted them in 2021 or 2022. You can't do that. What you looking at right there? You ready to go ahead and wrap?
Um, I am. I was trying to figure out what Star has said. Star has said Thomas is Wanye's brother. I'm trying to figure out who she was talking about.
So Wanye's brother plays. I think he plays from Central Florida. He's a corner. So if that was his brother, he's better than Wanye from what we're hearing. So I think she's saying we passed
Oh,
up
it
on his brother.
is. It
So
is. No, no,
we
we
haven't
did.
really watched him. And then
Yeah,
Star, appreciate you joining our show. Of course, Star is one of the people that we love to follow.
yeah.
Star and I, we kind of go back and forth on Twitter, have a good time. So we're going to try to reach out to her. But she said she also mentioned that are we against drafting Genty, and we would take Genty.
Well, she was asking Keystone, was he against it?
Oh, Cass, she was asking Keystone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now, but yeah, if Genty is there, I think we're going to take him.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of got to because I mean, you just want a solidified star, and you want somebody
Yeah.
that is at the top of their career, at the
Yeah.
top of their game, and he fits that.
Yeah, and what I said was if we draft him, we just can't run him into the ground. We need another back. So
Okay, now that's a good segue to what this is. This is Saquon's stats. As we can see, when Saquon came in the league in 2018, he was a rushing champion that year, and that's what this star means, I think. And as you can see, there is no 300. He ain't cracked 300 in his career until this year.
I just
So
cannot
imagine
believe we just ran Zeke into the ground like that. That was just crazy. That was pretty
it is
astounding that
crazy. Hmm.
we ran him like that. But
Yeah, it's
uh,
crazy. It's crazy. And then it's crazy that you would think that that's why it's just kind of like, no, that's why they had to, Zeke was here this year and he was playing. It's because, like, nah, y'all not going to just, what I'm saying? Y'all hub me out, really. Y'all messed up my career. Look at that. Look at their careers compared to Zeke's. Look at Zeke's attempts. And nobody has attempts like these.
it almost you almost want to question the numbers. It's like, can that be correct?
That is correct.
That's just crazy.
That it is
Now,
just crazy.
then the other thing you look at is that year two, he was at 242 carries, and how many games did he miss?
5 or
Yeah.
6.
So, but yeah, it's but that just goes to show you just how silly that was for them on 105.3 to say what they said, and they didn't have this information up here for their listeners to follow. So, but yeah, this proves our point. I think that if we take Genty, your strategy has to be you can't run this kid into the ground, so you're gonna need to take another back. Now we also got to look at some veteran backs, and I'm gonna go back to what I said. If Rico is a free agent, not a restricted free agent, Steven is not going to pay Rico. He's not going to pay him. So we're probably going to be drafting 2 backs and signing some veterans. So yeah, if we had a chance to get Genty and Scatterboo, or Genty and one of the other backs in the third round, you almost have to do it because you can't run this kid into the ground.
Now I want to ask you this here. Tell me why they went and got Zeke last year when Aaron Jones was available and Aaron Jones was drafted to McCarthy's team.
They went and got
So
Zeke because of Steven and Jerry.
yeah, I know, but why didn't they go get Aaron Jones? Because Aaron Jones was a McCarthy guy.
To
They
prove
should
my
have got
point,
him.
what they should have done last offseason, they should have went and got 2 backs. If you want to bring Zeke in, bring him in, but you should have got another back to go with him. You would have had Rico, Zeke, and another guy. Now,
Another good guy.
my thing with Zeke, bringing him back, we did our first show on how they should use Zeke, and we talked about the Preston Pearson effect,
Yeah, the
and
third down back.
They should have brought Zeke in as a third down back, catching the ball out of the backfield, short yardage, but they didn't do that.
I mean,
And
any other team would have done that.
yeah, we gotta get the goofiness out of our franchise, and it starts with the front office. A lot of this goofy stuff that we're doing is front office related. The goofy stuff we're doing with the cap, it's goofy. That's
It's
what's
just like
happening there.
it's just like the stuff that they're supposed to do. Like it just makes common sense to do. They just don't do it.
And what I keep saying on our shows is that people have all kind of conspiracies on why our front office does the things that they do. We look at it so many different ways. We need to just face the fact that they're just not good at what they do. They're not good at managing the cap. They're just not.
Now, on a regular team, on a team that's trying to win it all, one of these guys right here will be on our roster next year, besides Brandon Cooks. But see,
Okay.
what they're gonna do is they're gonna bring back Brandon Cooks, and they're gonna make it seem as if they brought back Brandon Cooks that they did one of these things, but they didn't.
Yeah.
See,
Now,
they should be getting Stephon Diggs in here. They should be
well,
getting Keenan
they
Allen in here.
everybody on your list has holes. So Stefan Diggs is coming off a major injury. I don't even know why T. Higgins is on here. These are free agents.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we're not getting T. Higgins. It's not happening. Now Keenan Allen would love to have him. I talked to your uncle the other night about Amari Cooper. So is that bridge burned? I actually think I mentioned that to Star a couple of days ago. So
Well, they
yeah,
were saying that the bridge burn was McCarthy was the one that got him out of here.
so it's a possibility. But yeah, what we need to do, folks, we got to draft a receiver and we need to sign a guy off this list. We need a second and third receiver. We don't have a second and third receiver on our roster. It's not Mingo. It's not Tobert. Tobert is a 4.
What I would
Mingo,
do is I would trade my second round pick for Tyreek Hill, and I would draft Savion Williams with like a third round or a fourth round pick.
that's what you would do. But our front office, they do goofy stuff. So now what you just said, the Eagles, the Chiefs, the 49ers, the Lions, they'll make that trade. But we're talking about pieces of the pie. We're talking about cap allocation. So we're going to be doing shows all the way up into the draft and free agency. And we're going to be talking about, can this organization just flip the page and start doing things? And one of the things that we need to talk about on one of our shows is what they need to do to fix our front office. They need to do 2 things. They need to bring someone in to manage the cap, an outside person to come in and look at their cap. And Steven needs to stop doing the cap. He needs to just be taken out of it. And then the other thing they need to do is they need to just, the general manager, they either need to, if they want to just go ahead and give Will McClay the GM title, fine. Or they need to just bring in another person. But if
Well,
they don't do
I'm gonna
those
tell
2
you,
things, we're in
I'm gonna
trouble.
stop you right there with that because Will McClay's contract is not up for extension or whatever. It's not up until after the draft. So by the time by
Yeah.
the time they make him the GM, he gonna be done already messed up what we needed, what we don't need him to mess up. He gonna be here through the draft. So hopefully Will McClay can get it together. Because right now I'm not too.
Yeah.
Chase Young should have been on our team last year. Um, you know,
Now you
we
think,
got a
what do
lot.
you think about Tank? You think Tank is gonna come back?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I think Tank, uh, Jordan Lewis, Rico. I just think Steven is going to do the same thing he did last year with Gilmore. You know, Gilmore was just hanging out there. We needed him, and Steven was like, "Well, he played great ball here, and so he
No.
Jordan Lewis is going to get generational money for his family. He's gonna get a nice deal, and he should take it. Steven is not going to do that.
Stephon Gilmore and Jordan Lewis gonna be available after this season.
So yeah, but what we need to
Charvarius
do,
Ward gonna be available.
what we
DJ
need
Reed
to
gonna be
do,
available.
man, in the worst way, Jerry, they're hostage taking. They forced this coach on Jerry. It sounds like. So what Jerry needs to do is say, okay, tit for tat. What I'm trying to do, I'm going to bring in someone else to manage the cap. I'm also going to bring in someone that can help us with free agency. And All they need to do, they need to just go to the Chiefs, go to the 49ers, go to the Ravens and say, we want to look at you guys, front office, the second or third person that's in charge of your cap, the second or third person that's in charge of your free agency. We're going to hire that person and bring that person in. And they can do it in one off season. That's all they need to do. And it'll change things. In one off season, the Cowboys can be competitive with any team in the NFL, just making those simple adjustments. A new cap manager and somebody to come in and show them, how you can sign Derrick Henry, how you can get Saquon if you want to get him. If a Roquan Smith becomes available like he did a few years ago, how do you make that trade? That's what the
I want to
Cowboys
tell
need.
somebody. I want to tell everybody this too. So I was looking at the Eagles' salary cap situation. I was just studying it. So how they to break it down in layman's terms on how they doing their players is like this. Like when the Cowboys sign a player, they might give the player $15 million. I'll do the easy number. They might give if they give a player $100 million contract, they'll give the player $20 million signing bonus at $20 million per year for 5 years. That's equals $100 million. Well, and then they cap hits are whatever they are per year. So, but what the Eagles is doing and what the other teams is doing is they're pushing out all of the cap for the cap hits for specific years and all of the contract out per year, and all the way out to like 5 or 6 years from now, or like in some cases like 9 years from now. And then their players are living off their signing bonuses. Like for instance, if they give a player $100 million contract, they'll give them $20 million up front, and then they'll say, okay, well, they give you $20 million up front, and then next year you're making $1 million, and the year after that you're making $1 million, and then the year after that you're making $1 million, and they do that all the way up until like that fifth or sixth year, and then they give the player all of the money. That's how they do it. So what that leaves you with is that leaves you with all your players signed. They have minimum cap hit, and then you have money on the cap to go sign somebody like Saquon Barkley and give him his contract. Now, what happens is they go to a championship this year. They win a championship. They win the championship this year, and next year, who cares if they got to put if they have all these cap hits or whatever, because they won the championship when they did that. So they are doing what the Joneses say they are doing. They're doing the
No,
all in thing. That's what they're
no.
doing.
If you want the salary cap, Mike Fisher, the OG, Jeff Kavanaugh's a junior OG. Outlaw Cowboy, who's just a tremendous follow, one of the guys that everybody needs to follow. Outlaw Cowboy.
Yeah.
Okay, these guys are breaking the cap down, and they are on. It's just amazing watching them work. It's stunning that the Cowboys don't have anybody that's doing this. And the reason they don't have anyone that's doing it is because they don't want to get someone to do it. But it just comes down to, you just, again, you just have too much pride. And so what needs to happen is they need to just take their hands off of it and say, the bottom line is we have no NFC championship game in 29 years. We've been talking about this cap and the pieces of the pie. The reality is that you just don't know you don't know how to manage the cap. Just have a come to Jesus meeting about the cap, and just, hey, you got $1 billion franchise. There are so many other things that Steven can do. The guy that's actually running the cap is Adam Pacifica. He was a he was a restaurant manager. That's where he came from. He came from the restaurant business. That's who's running the cap of the Dallas Cowboys. You just can't have that. So just get somebody else to come in and manage the cap. And here's the thing. You can get somebody else to come in and manage the cap and give them a small title. You can still say that you're actually running the cap.
Yeah. Outlaw is it's almost like he's watching our show. This is what Outlaw said today. He said, I'll go ahead and make this prediction. If the Eagles manage to win the Super Bowl, Ashton Genty won't make it to pick 12. The influence from Saquon Barkley move will permeate throughout the leagues. Will permeate throughout the league. that's very trend driven, causing someone to make a move for Genty early. I just said that. And then he also said the problem is the real problem isn't Shoddy. The problem is how many guys the Cowboys are losing this offseason and the quality of players that replace key contributors like Osa in free agency with. The problem is back-to-back subpar drafts that sunk their draft only team building philosophy. You can't have a draft only team building philosophy and then suck at drafting. And then there's another thing I want to explain to Cowboy Nation too. The Cowboys always miss the ship by something very, 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 very small. It always happens that way. Last year we got to the playoffs and we played Green Bay. Stephon Gilmore doesn't get hurt. That game is different. Okay, because Dan Quinn did what he did, probably because
just like in '07 when T.O. got hurt.
just like in '07 when T.O. got hurt, just like when Dez catch, just like this year, we probably would have made the playoffs. All of this stuff is going on, is going bad.
In 2016, our best year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Heath was on a safety blitz. He has Aaron Rodgers in his crosshairs. The ball is dingling.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't inexplicably get the ball.
All he had to do was hit the ball and that would have been game over.
I got to take a call, so you can go ahead.
All right. So just you can just hit mute on your thing. I'm gonna wrap us up.
Okay.
Yeah. So so I mean, they always lose by something like that. Just like barely happens. And then on top of that, what I'm saying is when they barely lose like that, whoever takes the blame is I think my dad's back. Okay,
I'm back. Yeah.
So whoever takes the blame, it's just like you would expect that when they come back next year that one problem will be fixed. But that never happens. It's like they never fix that one problem and they always compound to the problems. Like you would have just thought that whatever the problem was the last year, they would have fixed it. So I said all that to say this. We're always everyone is always down on the Cowboys because of the type of seasons that they have. But you have to understand that we barely missed the playoffs this year. We barely missed it with all of those injuries and with all of those miscues from the staff, the McCarthy and Jerry arguing with each other and going back and forth and playing chess with each other. All of these things, and we almost beat the Bengals and almost made it to the playoffs. So if we have a healthy team or whatever, I think we can be right back in the mix.
So that's the hope for Brian Schottenheimer. He's been around the game for so long. His dad was one of the legendary coaches of the league. His dad's teams. I mean, just giving you a Cowboy OG. His dad's teams were physical, man. I mean, when you played his teams, you was in the ice tub. I mean, they were physical. He played in the cold weather. He was coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, Cleveland Browns, and they were tough. Now he was old school. He was criticized for not having like a state-of-the-art offense. One year, his last year at San Diego, so he was a coach of he was Cleveland, of course. He went to two NFC championship games, and two AFC championship games. He went 2 years in a row. He lost on like a real crazy play. You've ever heard the phrase the fumble? Well, he was the coach. Cleveland was driving to win the game, and Ernest Biner fumbled on the 2-yard line and lost the game. Then the following year, both years they lost to Denver. They lost to John Elway. And then he went to Kansas City. He made it to the AFC Championship game again, either with Kansas City or San Diego. But he was Kansas City. He really, kind of put Kansas City kind of back on the map. Then he went to San Diego. His last year in San Diego, he had the best record in the NFL. They were like 14-2, the Chargers, and they lost in the first round of the playoffs, and he got fired.
Mm,
So and just to kind of piggyback on that, when he got fired, Norv came in and was the head coach of the Chargers. Okay, so Norv
mm.
took over. But I said I'd like to say this. Hopefully, what he can do, if you gave me a choice between Brian Schottenheimer and Jason Garrett, it wouldn't even be close. It wouldn't even be close. Okay.
Oh, oh, okay.
So uh, hopefully, what he can do with some of his knowledge and history of the league and just being around so many situations, some of these things that we're kind of seeing that we've been seeing over the years, hopefully he can help uh, with some of those things. And then hopefully he can just convince the front office they need to make, some changes. And then we can maybe, and then hopefully he's the coach, he ends up being, Jerry is due for some good luck. He's due. Green Bay. Nobody knew what LaFleur was going to be. They didn't know. LaFleur had never called plays before. Okay.
Nobody knew what McVay was going to be. Mike
Yeah.
McDonald was going to be.
Now you had a pretty good idea of what Kyle Shanahan was going to be because his
Cause of
dad
his
was one
dad.
of the legendary coaches. But and then O'Connell for Minnesota. So hopefully Jerry has found his LaFleur. He's found his O'Connell, and just get him some good players, and then get rid of some of this goofy stuff that we do. Get rid of the goofiness, and part of that goofiness was McCarthy just saying, "Hey, I'm not gonna really put some stuff in the game plan that we can. I'm not gonna use motion." Uh,
That's what I was finna say. Like, one of the good things and one of the things that we can have hope about it. We can, one thing is that we have someone that it's been evidence that he was trying to implement change into the game plans. And you have Dak and CD, that these guys, they know what's going on in the rest of the league. They know what offenses are moving the ball, and what they need to do to move the ball. Like, Dak and CD, when they're on the sideline and when they're in the game, they're the ones that's saying, like, hey, this is what's going to work and this is what's not working. And so,
well, and they were actually talking to him during the games and not talking to McCarthy.
exactly. And then McCarthy was the one that was saying no. He was
Yeah.
stuck in his ways. See, when you want to have something that, like, we always talk about FedEx and how they were so innovative, and that's what kept them ahead in the game. Well, what you don't want to have, if you're trying to grow something, if you're trying to grow anything, or you're trying to grow a brand, or you're trying to do anything progressive, what you don't want to have is someone that's at the head of things, that's stuck in their ways and saying that we're
Mm-hmm.
not going to change anything. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what you see with Steven. That's what you see with I'm not going to throw Jerry up under the bus. That's what you see with Steven, and that's what you were seeing with McCarthy. What you were seeing was guys that are stuck in their ways and they
Garrett
don't want to
too.
change. Garrett, stuck in their ways and don't want to change. There is the exact same thing that happened with McCarthy in Dallas, was the same reason why he got fired in Green Bay. The exact same thing. And the reason why we're, as Cowboy fans, are complaining about Steven in the cap, we're complaining about Steven in the cap the same way we were complaining about Steven in the cap 5 years ago, because he has done the same thing and he has not changed. These things, that's what you cannot have in an organization when you want to grow change, when you want to grow, and when you want to have, when you want to go forward, and when you want to change the narrative of the outcome of your team. You can't be stuck in your ways. Even though a clock is right 2 times a day, it's not going to be a time to where they're going to say to where running the cap the way that he does it, and just drafting and using the draft philosophy, that the it's not going to be a time where that works, because it's like by
Yeah.
the time that your draft picks get to where they're playing good ball, it's already too late. It's just a revolving door. It's not a time, like, for instance, perfect example. There's not going to be a time where Saquon and Derrick Henry is going to be available for $7 million again. It ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen again. Now, the running backs that's going to be on the board, they're going to go fast. You're not going to be able to get Derrick Henry in the fourth round no more. That's not going to happen because of what he's done now. You're not going to be able to next year. The running back free agents like Aaron Jones and them, they're not good as Joe Mixon and Saquon and Derrick Henry. And so it's not going to be Rico is not as good as them. So that's not going to happen again. So the Cowboys missed their window when it comes to that because they don't want to change. And hopefully Schottenheimer will bring about some change. And that's what we have to hope because that's his track record. We've seen that in the past that Schottenheimer, Dak, and CD, they were all on the same team when it came to changing the offense. And McCarthy was giving them a hard pushback. And McCarthy had his own motives for all of that. And as far as we don't know why McCarthy was saying that and doing that. But that's probably why he hasn't got another job as well. But um, it is what it is. McCarthy's no longer here, and hopefully Schottenheimer can put along some things. Shout out to Miss Nisi. She posted a comment, gave us a thumbs up. But yeah, you want to go ahead and wrap it up, or you had anything else that you wanted to say?
No, just appreciate people logging on to the show. So we're trying to grow our content, trying to grow our channel. So we're in it for the long haul. So YouTube is kind of it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So we're gonna kind of hopefully trying to do a couple of things and get some more people watching the channel. And so
I
me,
mean, we had a successful season,
yeah.
really, as far as YouTube goes. We started our channel at the beginning of the season, and we've been doing good for not even have made a year yet. So
hmm So me, I'm a Capricorn. So when we kind of get plugged into things, we see it all the way through. We're committed. And then my background, I was a project manager, and so kind of semi-retired, and I still have that project mentality. I was always doing projects on my job that I had before I retired. So this is a project. So I'm just looking at it like, okay, what can I do to, stay keep it going and be busy with it. So, but it's a lot of fun, and we're enjoying doing it. Enjoying it doing it with you. I think the father and son thing, I don't think it's a whole lot of content creators out there doing that. So we having fun doing that. And then, you're doing some things in the background that we think is gonna be really nice. A couple of projects that we're working on for our channel. So we just gonna keep working on things and a lot to talk about. So we'll come back. We may do something tomorrow and try to get some other things going. So we can talk about this Cowboy change, and we still gotta talk about Eberflus, kind of break him down and see what he's going to be doing over there on the defensive side of the ball. I was hoping that they would keep Zimmer or Paul Gunther, and I had an epiphany. We can talk about this tomorrow too. When we talk about Eberflus, I think the reason they hired Eberflus is because he's still getting paid by the Bears, so they ain't really got to spend a lot of money. That's my theory. We got to talk about that tomorrow.
yeah, and I think I will say I think Eberflus is going to do good. I mean, that's his. I was looking up Eberflus's track record as far as coordinating goes, and he has a great track record as far as
But
coordinating goes.
we got to study what he does with the edge position. What does he do? What has he done with players like Micah? That's my concern. Is he gonna know how to use Micah?
Maybe this is the first defensive coordinator that actually plays Micah at linebacker a little more.
Yeah, and we need to just move him around. Don't play him in one or the other. Just keep him, and that's what Zimmer did the second half of the season. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Quinn got away from that, but Micah is best when you move him around. So
Yeah,
hopefully that's
Quinn got away from it, but Zim figured it out, and Zim had the defense looking good at the end of the year. He was out coaching McCarthy, so I hate to
yeah.
see Zim go. And then the way that
hmm
Zim is, his personality and us knowing everything that he's been going through in his life for these last 4 or 5 years, I hate that he wanted to be the head coach and they didn't give him an opportunity.
Yep, we hate that. Hate it for Zim, but he's a soldier. So
Hmm.
shout out to Zim. You great career. If you don't coach again, you got a ring with Dallas.
Hmm.
And so yeah, but definitely wanted to see him back. And so tomorrow, despite cousin Nate pulling for the Commanders, so
Yeah, and I got told Nate, uh, man, the Redskins have been so bad for so long that
the
it's
Commanders.
okay. Yeah, the Commanders have been so bad for so long that it's okay. We actually want to see you all do good. We just don't want the Eagles to win. And
Mm-mm.
I'm all for the black quarterback and all of that. I get it. I'm cool with that. But the Redskins, I mean the Commanders, it's just a shame that it's really like I said, and it's also cool because we want Jerry to have to see this. We want Jerry to have to see this, to sit through this, just like we are. So he should feel how the fans feel for once. You know when we got to
Well,
watch this.
well, Jerry needs to just go back to his roots. When they came into the league, we were doing battle with the Redskins and the Giants and the Eagles. I mean, it was like just four teams, just like gladiators. That's what the NFL was ran through the NFC East. Okay,
It's gonna be back like that again if we can step up to the plate.
and the Giants gonna come back too. So if Jerry is looking at that, he has to know you can't play this salary cap game and keep up with the Eagles and the Commanders. You can't play this. Let's just experiment with the draft and take people like Schoon. The teams we got to play. I mean, come on, man.
We got to play the Commanders twice a year and the Eagles twice a year and the Giants twice a year. We have to be balling. We have to draft. We have to draft well. We have to have good players on our team to beat to compete with these guys. So hopefully, because what I've been seeing is the Cowboys have been beat to they have been beat to compete with the NFC East and not beat to compete with the rest of the NFL. Well, it just so happens that now the NFC East are the better teams in the NFL. So maybe this will be good for us. The fact that we have to compete with them and we have to up our game. So I'm gonna go ahead and log off. So y'all make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see y'all on the next one. Shout out to everybody that tuned in. Shout out to Keystone. Shout out to Stargazer. Shout out to the Big Time Show. And you all should be looking forward to a show with us three. We should be doing something soon. Let my dad get with them and we'll figure that out. But shout out to all of our friends and family that was supporting us. Shout out to Jeremy. Shout out to Miss Nisi. Shout out to Kevin. Shout out to everybody that was a part of the show tonight and that came out and supported us on this Saturday night. So we appreciate y'all. Y'all make sure y'all follow us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and everywhere else that we are. And we'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.